This video is about finding shipper leads as a freight broker. This can apply also to asset-based carriers who want to find direct shippers and don't necessarily want to go through the brokerage route finding loads through brokers. As I mentioned before in my previous videos, freight brokering is a great way for shippers to expand their capacity and sourcing needs if their incumbent carrier or other carriers that they use can't cover lanes that they have open. So for freight brokers to find more shipper leads, one of the ways that they can do this is by uncovering all the shipping locations for the current customers that they have. So freight brokers can look at their business, they can look at their different customers that they have, and obviously if you've got regular customers that you can count on to provide you with, volume or quality loads, you should think of the question as, have you ever asked them whether their subsidiaries or other divisions or other locations in this particular company have freight that needs to be moved? And they can do almost like a warm introduction for you or provide you with the contact information in order to move loads and in order to be able to ship products for all their different locations throughout North America or really anywhere. This applies for European freight brokers as well. If you got shipments in Belgium and they have locations in Germany, you want to be looking at how you can get in touch with those people as well in order to move their loads as well. Now, whether that's inbound or outbound, not really that important at the moment. It's more like get that warm introduction and then go out there and have a discussion with them as to how to go about it and how you could become onboarded to provide your services that you're already providing for this other location. Obviously, another way that you can do it is by making cold calls. Cold calling is obviously never fun. You're probably going to hear a lot of no's, get hung up on, and in the sense, waste time on hold trying to get through to the right person. But there are plenty of ways to do it properly, and there are plenty of ways to go about it. We'll talk about that in another video about cold calling, but cold calling is not dead. You should not be looking at it as an old school traditional method of trying to get leads. The people that engage in cold calling are going to see more wins than people that don't. That's just the nature of the business. In addition to this, referrals. So the third best thing after, not necessarily in that order, but the third thing on this list that I'm speaking of would be to ask for referrals from your customers, from your shippers that you're actually currently doing loads for. Referrals are really a great tool, and they're oftentimes mostly overlooked by a lot of freight brokers. They don't participate in that. You want to connect with shippers you work with and ask if you know other shippers that are looking for freight brokers or looking for people to engage in moving of their freight in some aspect or another. And I've seen that locally here in my city. So there is this shipper that uses an asset-based carrier, and they go and they talk about how they particularly use this asset-based carrier, and they speak of it publicly to other shops and other areas, other locations around the city that are within their specific commodity-based niche. So automotive parts, they're an automotive parts supplier. So the gentleman, the decision maker that makes a decision which freight broker or which asset-based company to use, he speaks of this one asset-based company that he recommends to other people to use. He recommends them to shippers, he recommends them to freight brokers. And that's one example of, like, even though the industry is big, industry itself is big, it could really be a tight-knit circle locally. When you're looking at it, like if you were to look at it on a map and it's all these local areas of shippers, they talk to each other and they know who is good and who is rough, because they remember the ones that are going to be, giving them a headache, and they remember the ones that do a really good job for them and they offer more repeat business to them. And a referral from a satisfied customer to another prospect really provides an endorsement and really turns any cold call into a warm call. So if you were going to go to that next door shipper, it's a lot easier to do that if you were referred than it is to just pick up the phone and call them, right? Which leads me to the next point, and that's really to make a warm call. And reaching out to someone using the name of a mutual connection or a referral can definitely open the door to a conversation, and it can improve your odds of getting through to the person and being able to talk business. And it helps set you apart from other brokers that are making cold calls within that industry or to that shipper, right? So there will be your distinguishing factor right off the get-go, where you've been referred by somebody that's mutually connected to this individual, as compared to you're making a cold introduction of yourself, your business, or through phone or in person or whatever the case may be. Another thing that you want to do, and going down this list, like mentioned, is prospecting similar businesses within some field. And this can be a very, very effective if you have a specific type of freight you ship. Google is a great friend here, really. You want to search online by industry or freight type, and you can quickly develop a list of potential clients for your outreach efforts. And because you can talk about your expertise handling that type of shipment or that type of freight, it can set you apart from other brokers that are soliciting their business when trying to generate leads. And so, think of it like I mentioned earlier, automotive parts. If you want to focus on automotive parts suppliers, well, there's your niche. You can create a great big list of all the different automotive parts suppliers you want to go after. If you want to focus on plastics, paints, chemicals, furniture, whatever your niche that you want to focus on is, that's what you can go after. And that's how you can start generating kind of a business plan as to who you want to go after locally, regionally, nationally. It's up to you. I always say start locally, spread regionally, go nationally, and that's worked for me. And I like to talk about things that are proven, something that is a proven method, and so that is a proven method to me, something that I've had success with. In addition to that, you can also get on a reserve list if you want. So when you do connect with shippers and the people in charge of making decisions, one of the most common things you'll hear is that they already work with a freight broker. So since they're actively shipping freight, they're using someone in that moment in time. So rather than just saying thanks, goodbye, and moving on, there are a couple ways to go about it. You can ask if you can send the contact information to be on their backup list if the current freight broker or current logistics provider is unable to fulfill some need of theirs in some moment in time, or again, they drop the ball or something happens that they just don't end up covering a load for a shipper. So you can go in there and prove your worth by providing a service for that shipper that they couldn't get from their incumbent broker. You can also offer a free audit or a free kind of evaluation to see if you can beat the rates they are currently getting. It doesn't mean you go in there and you just start a race to the bottom where you're offering crazy rates that you can't promise and deliver on. Don't do that. But go in there, and even if you don't get their business, this can really help you see what your competitors are doing in the place in terms of rates and what they're offering to the customer. So you can kind of align to see if you're there or if you're way off in one direction or the other. Chances are if you're way off in terms of the other direction, going low, like lowballing people, it's not going to do well for you. It might get you in the door per se, but you're going to be out the door a lot quicker because you won't be able to keep that rate up and that pace up, especially if the volume increases and you're promising the shipper something that's near impossible, especially with elevated prices right now and inflation that's going on and the geopolitics that are causing certain things going on, including the fuel prices and all that stuff. It's going to cause issues for you trying to cover those loads for super cheap. So you want to have a fair market value, a fair market proposal to the customer where you're being competitive, and if the rates that you're offering that may be lower you want to make sure that your services are offered in return that are of high quality, but don't stray away too far from the numbers that are provided, because it could really cause you harm in terms of trying to provide a quality service. Now, don't get me wrong. You will sometimes do these evaluations, and the incumbent freight broker or asset-based carrier is providing rates to the shipper that are preposterous. I've seen some differences in the 4 or 5,000 range. And what I mean by that is, on a specific lane, the customer is being overcharged by 4 or 5,000 per shipment. Per shipment. So could you imagine walking in there and telling a customer, I can save you $2,500 or $3,000 or $4,000 on a particular lane or a particular shipment that runs weekly or daily or whatever the case may be? They're going to be like, get out of here. Are you serious? And show them. Ask. Open your mouth and ask for that opportunity to do that, to show them that whoever is giving them this rates is not giving them honest rates or honest feedback about what their expenses are, right? And it's a different story if the current marketplace is at that level, and then you're giving rates. Let's say you're running a shipment from A to B, and you're giving a price that's like $5,000 over what traditionally that lane pays. But then again, like what we saw the last 2 years with COVID and truck shortages and border closures for international freight and unvaccinated, vaccinated, all that stuff played a role in, and driver retention and all that stuff played a role in terms of where the rate was, particularly speaking, in the last 2 years. So now we've seen a shift where things are now coming back down, and we're now in that down cycle of freight. So there is opportunities out there where maybe some shippers are still overpaying and they still think that the rates should be where they are because maybe they're not looking at current markets, they're not concerned with that, or whatever the case may be. But it could be a way in. It could be a way in for you. Again, please don't have this as a race to the bottom. The truckers need to be paid fairly. The truckers have insurance, and they have maintenance, and they have employee fees, and they have taxes, payroll. They have all kinds of things that they have obligations that they also have to meet. So don't go into a place and just ruin the industry with lowballing. It does not do anybody any well either. And okay, moving on now. In addition to that, you want to also contact the customers of your customers. Now, I don't mean that you go and you back solicit people that give you freight in terms of, in some shape, fashion, or form, or seal their carriers or something of that nature. I don't mean to do it that way. What I mean is, if there's any other way to contact the customers of your customers, you should do that. And one of the best ways of doing that is by looking at the bill of lading and seeing where you're delivering and approaching that consignee and asking them to ship their inbound or outbound freight. Likewise, if your customer is a consignee, wherever you're picking up, you want to be asking the questions like, hey, we're a freight broker, we're picking up today from this location. We'd like more opportunities to do inbound and outbound flow of your material. Would you be interested in a call? Can we get on a call? And take it from there and follow up and go through the procedures of a full sales cycle of the funnel itself, and take it from there. So really reaching out, that's another way. I have literally a big like you see this thing behind me, like that wide, that long, full of bill of ladings that I've delivered to, and I've reached out to people and I've gotten business that way. It's another proven way. It's something that's worked for me, and I'm no different than you or anyone else. So if I could do it, you can do it too. You just got to pick up the phone, do some Google research, find out where that location is, who they are, what they do, what they produce, what they ship. And then once you're well researched, go into that phone call and start that conversation with that potential customer. In addition to all this, you can also create a loyalty program for your customers. Now, that doesn't that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to go out there and you're give, $50,000 bonus to your shipper because they signed up for you. But what you can do is create a loyalty program with your current customers that you already have, and it can help you retain or grow your existing business. And you can also use the same tactic for new customers. You might offer like some sort of sign-on bonus for a new business, maybe a discount for the first few orders. And I don't mean discount where you're getting the discount from the carrier. I mean a discount where you're taking a hit on the profit margin to get in and start a relationship with that company, or even a cash bonus for referrals as well, where you can say, hey, if you refer us to another company, we'll give you cash back or a referral bonus in some sense. It's another way you can do it. This is something you can do later on once you have a healthy group of shippers or clients that have freight that needs to be shipped. In addition to this, you can go down an old school method as well of sending direct mail to customers as well. You can reach out to shippers looking for freight brokers by using direct mail. You can purchase mailing lists of shippers and filter the list to those that you specifically want to target. So much business is being conducted by email these days that a letter or a postcard can actually help you stand out from your competitors. And consider sending different offers or mailings each month, each couple months to keep your message fresh, and then follow up with phone calls as well. Some people use shipper lists. I'm not a fan of shipper lists. I truly feel that the shipper lists that are for sale on the internet, through your research, that you can find out what these ones without giving out any names, because I don't think they deserve credit, particularly speaking, because it's sometimes a big race to the bottom. A lot of people go in there, they buy these lists. We can do everything cheap. We can do all your loads. We can do drayage. We can do drive in. We can do step deck, flatbed, oversized, overdimensional freight. We can do reefers. We can do hazmat. They go into this with this mindset without doing any research and just, kind of throwing at the wall and see what sticks. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of it. I mean, go ahead and debate me why you think, shipper lists would be good, other than maybe getting just a name from it and that's it, and then sifting through it and seeing who you may want to target. Sure, I guess, but especially shipper lists where they have personal cell phone numbers, I'm not a big fan of that. I'd rather go down the, quote unquote corporate business route where you have a business phone number that you're contacting instead of that first call being the cell phone. Hey, by all means, when you get in and you get comfortable with the logistics coordinator, traffic manager, logistics manager, supply chain manager, whoever it is, director of transportation, whoever these titles are, by all means, be friends. I've met some amazing people, and some of them are still friends to this day after 14 years in the industry, that are shippers, that are traffic managers, logistics coordinators, whatever, that are friends. And so by all means, go ahead and have that cell phone number. But that initial step, I don't feel like it's ethical from a business perspective. I don't think it's very professional to be calling someone's cell phone on that first go. That's my personal opinion. Debate me down there in the comments if you want, if you think I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, so to speak. But hey, it's the cool thing about this is these are suggestions and things that have worked for me and things that I don't really, and then on the other side, things that I don't really engage in or don't really like to do. In addition to this, you can also find the competitors of the industry players. So every company that you work with has competitors in their specific industry. So do the companies like the companies that are competing with your shipper can also become your customer. So you can find competitors by searching online, For example, if you're looking for plastics manufacturers, search top plastics manufacturers in North America or whatever, wherever. If you're doing locally, regionally in the beginning, you want to just start there. Top New England plastics manufacturers or whatever the case may be, wherever you live. You can do that. And then the cool thing about this business, you design your plan. You design how you're going to go after these people. You want to write down those names and then have a nice little column of phone numbers and hit the pound the phones. Do it. No one's stopping you. Do it. If you don't want to do that and you want to go down the route of going in and writing down the address of all these places and then going in person, do it. Do it. Nobody's going to stop you. You don't have a guy behind you breathing down your neck telling you. It's your business. You decide how you're going to go about it. And so, yeah, that would be kind of the list that I wanted to share with you guys today in terms of how you can get more shipper leads. You got to open your mouth. You got to ask for referrals. You got to walk into places. You got to talk with people. You got to talk shop. Like I said, if you're really an expert in shipping one type of material or one type of commodity, whatever, hey, you know what? Go in there and talk shop. Blow them away, impress them. That doesn't mean that you go in there and you talk 95% of the time, but you'll be able to have a conversation because you'll understand what's going on and what you're talking about and what they're talking about, and it's gonna make it a lot easier from that perspective in terms of how you're gonna go about it and how you're gonna grow your book of business. So there you have it. That's my 20 minutes worth of discussing freight, logistics, how to get more shippers for freight brokers. This can also be of benefit to asset-based carriers that want to go in and get their direct shippers instead of going through freight brokers. Hey, the world is a free place. It's a place where you can go and you decide how you're going to go about creating your business, creating your design. And that's the beauty of this industry as well that we call home. If you like this, if you found this content valuable, please hit the like button. Please hit the share button. Please comment, debate me, argue with me, talk to me. Let me know what you're feeling, what you're thinking in the comments below. In addition to that, please subscribe. I'm trying to grow this channel. I'm trying to provide more. It is at times time consuming. So I have to, grow it and see that what I'm doing is of value to people and that people are engaging and people are actively looking for information. So that way it makes it beneficial for me as well. So thank you very much for listening. If you got through this whole thing, you're going to hear this message. If you didn't, don't worry, no problem. And like I said, like, comment, share, subscribe, and have a wonderful week ahead. And hope you guys take some or all of these things into consideration the next time you go out and try to get more customers and build your book of business. So thank you very much, and cheers. Keep on trucking. Respect.